Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Aranas, a postgraduate medical intern. I basically provide informative videos to medical students and also would like to give aspiring Filipino physicians an idea of what a med student usually tackle in med school. If you find these videos helpful, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell to be updated for my new videos. As for today, I'll be discussing the CPC of metabolic syndrome, also known as Syndrome X, and insulin resistance syndrome. I would just like to clarify first what a syndrome is. Syndromes are not equivalent to diseases because syndromes are just a constellation of signs and symptoms. And as for metabolic syndrome, this consists of a constellation of metabolic abnormalities that confer increased risk for cardiovascular disease and diabetes mellitus. It is important for us to be aware of this syndrome so that we could emphasize in our patient the importance of primary health care, such as proper weight management and proper diet. This now is the overview of my CPC. We'll be discussing this by section. So let's start. The associated conditions to Syndrome X include the following: cardiovascular diseases, type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, obstructive sleep apnea, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and even hyperuricemia. All of these conditions have a major mechanism of insulin resistance. And central to Syndrome X would be the expanded adipose tissue in our patients. And as we all know, adipose tissue is an endocrine gland. And this is important because uh, it would trigger now the mechanism of metabolic syndrome. And this would be manifested by central obesity. The expanded adipose tissue would increase the circulating free fatty acids, and it would promote inflammatory state, increasing the release of interleukin-6 and increase in tumor necrosis factor alpha. And also, it would decrease an important substance, which is the adiponectin. It would be decreased, and this is known for its anti-inflammatory and insulin sensitizing agent. However, with the increase in free fatty acids, that would be decreased. And the insulin resistance in the liver, it would increase the glucose production and triglycerides. And also, it would increase the secretion of very low density lipoprotein. And an important metabolic derangement in the lipid profile of our patient would be an increase in LDL and a decrease in HDL. This now would be manifested by hypertriglyceridemia. As for the muscle, the insulin resistance is manifested by the inhibition of insulin-mediated glucose uptake. The insulin resistance would then cause ultimately the decrease in glucose utilization. And the body now would detect that as a starving state. And the body now would further respond by increasing more the glucose production and triglycerides. So this now would compensate and increase further the glucose. That now would be manifested by hyperglycemia. This now would trigger an increase in insulin secretion, and that would manifest as hyperinsulinemia as the body tries to compensate in the deranged hormonal levels, glucose levels. And aside from that, the hypertriglyceridemia would also promote prothrombotic state that would increase the fibrinogen, and also in the adipose, it would increase the plasminogen. So the hyperinsulinemia now would be causing an increase in sodium reabsorption and increased stimulation of the sympathetic nervous activity. And that now would result to hypertension. So all of these symptoms, signs and symptoms, would constitute metabolic syndrome or syndrome X. It's hypertriglyceridemia, hyperglycemia, hyperinsulinemia, and hypertension, and even central adiposity in our patient. So it is a must for proper weight management for these patients so that the adipose tissue would be lessened and we could decrease the free circulating free fatty acids. If you wanted more specific details as regards Syndrome X, you could read it in the 20th edition Harrison's Principles of Internal Medicine. I would like to end this by sending you this message: commit to be fit. Thank you for listening and have a good day.